Welcome to the wrap-up College Football Playoff Edition. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. We got football to talk about. Quarterfinals, 3 of the 4 games have been concluded. Alongside Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I am Sam Ravech. Guys, a lot has been made so far in this playoff about some of the lopsided results that we've seen, the seeding, how the formatting should go. Well, 3 of the teams that got byes so far have all lost.
Yeah.
They've all lost. How much should we read into that, Matty? Should we read into it a lot, or is it
Yeah, we got to read into it a lot. Yeah, because clearly it's a difficult thing for the pros to do in the NFL level when you have a really good record and you have that first round bye, and then to manage that properly and be ready to go.
Yeah.
We're seeing it's even more difficult for these college coaches to prepare these young men and get ready for these games. So something that I think for big picture wise, we really need to rethink again for how we go about building this playoff bracket going forward.
Yeah, really interesting stat just to everybody out there on these teams that got the bye. In the first half, they have all combined for 11 points.
Yeah.
The teams that did not get that first half, that first round bye, they've combined for 79 points. So it's 79-11 in terms of having that first round bye and not having it as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's a difference.
The lopsided results continue to play out today as well. We'll get to the Rose Bowl in just a bit, but we will break down all of the 3 games that we have seen so far in the quarterfinals throughout the course of the next 30 minutes. For those who are watching on the ESPN College Football YouTube page as well, please interact with us as nicely as you can. It is a new year, so we should all be kind to everybody, right? Scoob
I'm in here right now.
Scoob will be monitoring that as we go along. But how about the result that we just saw go final in the Rose Bowl, Scoob? That was a fun one.
Yeah, we got people in the chat right now saying, yay, Ohio State beat Oregon, and we get to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl between these 2 teams.
Beautiful.
It's their 4th meeting in the postseason. The last time they met in the postseason when the 25 College Football Playoff National Championship, Ohio State won that game 42-20. So we'll pick this up in the first, and on the 3rd play of the game, Jeremiah Smith has a ball in space, and that's bad news, guys.
Bad news. Yeah.
Good play design right there with the motion right before the snap, faking that zone run, and then getting the football to your best football player in space, and he does the rest from there.
45-yard touchdown. They take a 7-0 lead. Later in the first, another 3-play drive, this time to Emeka Ibuka. 14-point lead for Ohio State. It's the largest deficit for Oregon this season. On to the second quarter now. It's 17-0. Oregon trying to get literally anything going on offense. This is 4th down, and they do not convert. It's a no-fly zone at the Rose Bowl. I mean, that Ohio State defense was flying around, so then less than a minute later, Will Howard airs it out to who else, guys? Jeremiah Smith. The guy is a problem. It was starting to get ugly. 21-0 Ohio State. Then after an Oregon 3-and-out, it's Bucks ball again. Travion Henderson is too fast, too furious, too fast for y'all, man. Buckeyes dominating, 66-yard touchdown. Ohio State had 4 touchdowns for 40-plus yards in the first half, y'all. Now it's 34-0. Oregon finally getting something going. Noah Whittington from Dylan Gabriel here. They'll get 2 more after and go on into the half, 34-28. Maybe a little bit of momentum here. On to the second half. Long 5-minute drive for Oregon here. They cap it off with Whittington finding the end zone for a second time. Don't look now. Oregon is coming back, right? 34-15.
Here we go. We'll fight from the Ducks.
Just a little.
And now they're not coming back. Buckeyes back in striking distance. Travion Henderson, he gets into the end zone. OSU dominates 41-15. At that point, they will go on to win it 41-21. Huge win for them, guys. An absolute domination. This guy's at every single game, it seems like, for the fan
He's
shot.
got one more, too.
But for Ohio State, you came out with your head on fire. Matt, we saw how they played last week against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Everyone had this game hyped up as the game of the playoffs. The non-de facto national championship matchup was this one, Oregon versus Ohio State, but it did not play out that way.
All those people chirping the Tennessee Vols a week ago. I don't think Oregon deserved to be in the playoffs. No, I'm kidding.
Shots fired.
I'm just being annoying. But big picture-wise, Chip Kelly, the way that he designed this game plan, extremely impressed by the way that he was layering the plays throughout the game. We consistently marveled at the running attack by Ohio State. capturing the edge consistently every single run. They are making sure that they're blocking the enemy line of scrimmage. They're getting to the second level. You see even here, short motion here right before the snap. Look at the wall, right? As they even said during the announcing of the game, just look at the wall that they created. And then Henderson, untouched there, gets a head of steam. Good blocking on the second level again. He does the rest. The balance of the explosive runs, the explosive pass plays down the field, the easy completion to Jeremiah Smith in the flat. I mean, there's no better way than to feel confident as a quarterback than to get that, oh, I threw it 2 yards and the guy took it for another 40. You know, and that's where I feel like Ohio State, they're doing some great things offensively because Chip Kelly he's just firing right now.
Yeah, and it feels like they're finally emptying out their bag.
No doubt.
Their bag of tricks that they've been holding on to all season long, because what we had questions about early on in the season is, Ohio State, what is your identity? What are you trying to do?
Right.
And in their loss to Michigan, they weren't getting Jeremiah Smith the ball as much as they probably should. And I think as the season's gone along, they finally realized, oh, well, this is definitely our best player on the team, even though he's 18 years old and a 6'3", 215-pound freshman. We got to give him the rock as much as possible. So when you get the ball to this guy here, check out this catch. Dive and grab right down the sideline.
Fantastic.
And then all of a sudden, oh, Emeka Egbuka, we're going to get him the ball too. It's money all day, and then all of a sudden,
play right there.
You have the best 1-2 punch combination in the backfield with your running backs. What are you going to do as a defense trying to stop this offense?
And one other quick thing, we said it last week. We said it against Penn State. And we mentioned this when we talk about Ohio State all season long. Game plan specific plays. That Jeremiah Smith touchdown where Will Howard's rolling, throwing it across the field, we hadn't seen that play all season long. So that is a game plan specific play that, hey, we are going to take a shot with our guy early and often to get him going. And that's where I didn't see that same thing from Oregon. I saw Oregon's good old standard stuff that got them there, right? Chip Kelly doing game plan specific plays to get people open down the field, and that's what's important. They're not playing to not lose, they're playing to win finally as an offense, and that's where is their best recipe.
See some of the reaction too behind us from social media.
Yeah.
And you know, going back 2.5 months ago when these two teams last met 2.5 months ago, Will Howard slid as the clock hit 0, and they lose the game, right? And Will Howard said during media day that he had nightmares about that game. He went back to the stadium and literally sat there for hours just going over that play, that specific play. So props to him, because so many times this year it felt like Ohio State won in spite of what Will Howard did. Some of the mistakes that, you know, happened in the Penn State game as well, and sometimes it ended up in losses, like in the Michigan game. What do you make of how Will Howard, his emergence, and the play calling as well with Chip Kelly? How was that kind of all blended?
Well, I think that is the one thing we discussed this before going into the season, was the addition of Chip Kelly and how that might be one of the best moves that any college team had made during the offseason, was getting an offensive-minded guy in there to help the transfer quarterback, to help this offense that seemed to stutter in big-time matchups. And we're seeing that finally pay off and pay big dividends. And that's where the Michigan thing, like Skubie mentioned, very careful, close it. And I feel like that freed them up to say, all right, hey, our jobs are on the line, and we might as well just go out swinging.
Right.
And that's where I get like really excited for teams like that, because when they're that way, you're going to be successful. And not only that, when they get a lead, that's where Jim Knowles and the defense, I think it heightens them even more, because now they can be ultra aggressive. They can really get after the passer, be physical. They made Dillon Gabriel look really small on the field today.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about recruiting and be like, oh, you can't judge him because he's a smaller quarterback, you know, only going after the 6'3" guys. No, there's a reason why they recruit measurables. And Dillon Gabriel looked overwhelmed. He looked small. He looked slow on the field because that Ohio State rush, and that guy specifically, Cody Simon, he is a dog.
Yeah.
Him, Sawyer, JT, Williams, Hamilton, those guys in the middle of the defense were absolutely tremendous in this game.
I will say this about Will Howard. The thing about him this year is he has made some mistakes that are just so hard to ignore. Mistakes that you will remember all the way throughout the rest of the season. Like the slide that you brought up, the interception against Michigan in the red zone, the fumble and the interception against Penn State. And those are all really costly mistakes by him. But when you look at his season overall, he's actually had a great year. He's the second most accurate passer in all of college football. And he has done everything that this team wants him to do. And I think we just have to give him his flowers the way that he was hitting his receivers in stride today, the throws that he make, throwing for over 300 yards. I mean, they were really efficient in this game with the way that they handled everything. 29 minutes of time of possession to Oregon's 30, and that's because they were just hitting big play after big play after big play, and he was really comfortable with the way that he was attacking them. And I think a lot of people are going to be interested in how this matchup is going to be against a Texas team who didn't look like they played their best ball today.
No, they certainly didn't. A convincing win, 20-point win for Ohio State. They take on the winner of the Peach Bowl between Texas and Arizona State. First time that these two teams squared off since 2007. Longhorns carrying over some momentum from the first round game. They go up early 14-3. We're going to pick up this game in the fourth quarter, though. Quinn Ewers might have looked at least the healthiest that he has looked all year long in this game, and he's going to take it in up 17-8 all by himself on 3rd and goal here, Matty. Good play.
Yeah, fourth quarter here, 10 minutes left in the game, and I really thought this was the game sealer for Texas to score in this. Good job of recognizing that Arizona State was playing soft and then just knifes it in there for the touchdown. This, to me, at this moment with 10 minutes left, I thought this was the game sealer. Credit, though, to Arizona State to bounce back and get a score after that.
So 6 minutes left. Smoke him if you got him time. That's not Sam Levitt. No, that's Cam Skattebo throwing it down the field. Malik McClain for the 42-yard score.
Not one, not two, not three.
How about that? Sparky forks up. Skattebo can do it all, and he did it all in this game.
He redeemed himself from that terrible throw that he had in the Big 12 championship game. That one was much better.
Skattebo threw 15 passes as a junior. Don't forget that.
He sure did. Now Ewers going to air it out down the field. It's intercepted. Javen Robinson. Arizona State now under 6 minutes left to tie the game just like that. 1st and goal, Arizona State. Skattebo going to put his team on the back. By the way, he was throwing up on the sidelines a couple of minutes ago before this play.
Isn't that crazy? He battled and gave everything that he had in the tank to get his team to win.
Skattebo would score once more on the 2-point conversion as well. Scoots his way into the end zone. So we got a tie ball game here. 24 all, 5 minutes on the dot to go. Texas ball, but they cannot score. 4th and 9 with a minute and 44 left. Bert Auburn, who has been so good all year long, wide right. More from Bert Auburn later on in this game. This was a shaky start.
He's a great kicker, too.
Where's the national championship this year?
Atlanta.
Yeah. That's right. All right, Bert. Get some more reps there.
Something in that air, Matt. Something in that air.
A chance for a walk-off winner. And off the goal.
Oh, man.
Terrible field goal protection, though, too. There was about 4 Arizona State defenders there right in his face as he was kicking that football. Not an excuse. He still has to make that. But, I mean, where's the protection right there?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So this game did go to overtime. Arizona State starts off strong in the overtime. They have the ball first, as you see Sark looking on. Sark, by the way, was given a kind of a fire-me-up speech to Bert Auburn before he missed that kick. Yeah, disbelief from Sark. Jubilation on the sidelines for Kenny Dillingham because they got a chance to win this game. And, yeah, first chance in overtime. Levitt, who bought time all day long, and finally breaks off a run for a first down on 3rd and 14.
He played awesome today. I love what he did with his feet. Did a lot of good things outside the pocket, using his legs to complete big-time throws. And then this guy. Man, I mean, and I love his own offensive lineman.
Kyle Scott,
just power bombing him into the end zone like that.
Texas got to respond. 4th and 13. Woo! Where's the defense?
Boom!
Touchdown.
Oh, we got to break that down.
Golden with a sweet double move there, a little bench and go over there in the one-on-one corner. Good throw by Quinn Ewers getting the touchdown.
All tied up. We go to the second OT. First play of double overtime. Finally, Gunnar Helm getting involved. I think he only had 3 catches in this game, none bigger.
First one was in the 4th. Man. They need to find a way to get that tight end, the rock.
All right, so 8-point game here. Arizona State with the ball, 3rd and 8, and interception. Andrew Makuba, his 5th pick of the year. That seals the deal. Texas wins the Peach Bowl in a thriller to survive to the semifinals.
Man.
Unbelievable scene there. And the game of the playoffs so far between Texas and Arizona State. Here is what Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian had to say after the game as you look at this 39-31 final.
How on earth did you guys get it done?
Well, what a swing of emotions throughout this entire game. And the one thing that's been true about our team all year is their resiliency. We continue to fight back regardless of what odds we're up against, and some great plays there in overtime. We stubbed our toe a little. We need to play better football than we played today, but surely, man, our fight was pretty incredible.
Well, Sark said it. We need to play better than we did today.
Yeah.
The two keys coming into this game for Texas and Coach Sark: stop the run, got to stop Cam Skattebo, and you got to run the ball. Texas had to run the ball. They did neither of those things today.
That's right.
And they still managed to get a win out of it. We'll get to Texas and then moving forward to take on Ohio State in just a bit, guys. But can we pay some respects to Cam Skattebo and the performance that we saw today? Because, quite frankly, we have not seen something like this in a very, very long time. He's doing things that haven't been done pretty much ever in college football since like 2015.
Right.
That was a badass walk-in shot that we just saw right there. Cam Skattebo, by the way, great job by our production team. But the thing about Cam Skattebo coming into this game, he had a lot of comments where he was talking that talk, saying, I am the best running back in the country, and nobody can stop me. And he said that against a Texas defense in the SEC that was upset when they heard him say that. And what he do? He came and he answered that call, and we all knew when he was getting the ball in every single situation. And look at him fight every single chance that he got. You said it earlier in the highlight. He was throwing up on the sideline before going back in the game and scoring a touchdown. Then he goes and throws a touchdown. Then he comes back, catches a 60-yard bomb, then scores another touchdown. At one point, Cam Skattebo had more yards by himself than the entire Texas team. Incredible performance by him, and he said he's the #1 running back in the country. And quite frankly, after this game, I'm going to put him and Ashton Jeanty as 1A and 1B, and I'm not even going to argue with somebody if they say Cam Skattebo is their 1A.
Keep an eye on Sam Levitt going forward, too.
But wait, who is your 1A?
Damn, I'm gonna
put him on the spot.
I'm gonna do some recency bias. I'm gonna go with Cam Skattebo.
That's right. I totally get it. I totally get it. I just want to see what you do. Yeah.
Keep an eye on
He
Sam.
did it against a Texas team.
No doubt.
I mean, that was great.
Got you.
Keep an eye on Sam Levitt going forward, too. Young guy.
Yeah.
Played really well today. I thought he escaped some pressure.
Keep an eye on Kenny Dillingham.
Just signed a nice contract, too.
Because what I love about what he did managing this football game, you're down 17-3 at half. Most coaches would be, we got to be more aggressive. He did a great job getting under center, running the football patiently, giving Skattebo multiple attempts, dominating time of possession, almost doubling Texas in time of possession. So he's keeping that Texas defense on the field. He's wearing out those defenders consistently throughout the game. And that plays into favor with his big, strong, physical running back. And as the game continued to wear on, you could see that Arizona State offensively was out hitting the Texas defense.
And they were smaller.
And that's right. And that's the key to that, right, is that great coaching. He identified, all right, my two best players are my quarterback and my running back. What am I going to do to make sure that these guys stay involved in the game plan? They started the third quarter with a designed quarterback run. Then they had a great inside zone run to Skattebo. Then they did the little swing past him out of the backfield where he gets a good head of steam with guys lead blocking on the outside. Another explosive play. They score on that drive. So those are the things that great coaching does to neutralize a team that's more talented than you, more depth. There's no doubt. Texas is the more depth and athletic football team. But coaching did a great job. Texas got out-coached and out-schemed in the second half, and it took till overtime for Sark to all of a sudden wake up and to start to be more aggressive with his play calling. So very curious, but Kenny Dillingham, man.
Don't forget, this is an Arizona State team that was picked to finish last.
I know, it's amazing.
Their conference,
it's amazing.
Right? They were 6-1 and one-score games throughout the season. I mean, they battled and have been through so many tough games. And then just think about what they did against Texas. Getting a season high, 510 yards on them. Nobody else has been able to accomplish that. But for Texas on the other side, Sam, to be able to get this win and withstand that, you had a 16-point fourth quarter lead, and You still kept it together.
Yeah.
Got the interception.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to go ahead and give a golden star to that Texas defense.
No question. The Texas defense, although they did allow some passing yards, but
on the field for a long time.
They were.
So
they were.
any defense is going to get worn out in that situation. So the offense has to pick up a little bit of that slack.
Credit to Kenny Dillingham, this Arizona State team, as their season comes to an end.
Yeah.
A team that won 3 games each of the last 2 years. They only had a 3% chance heading into week 11 of actually making the college football playoff.
Amazing.
And here they were giving Texas a run for their money. But let's flip the page to the Texas Longhorns. Fortunate that their season didn't come to an end in Atlanta today. Not a lot of positives to take away from this game outside of a couple of, special teams plays that went their way. Good on defense up front, maybe at times. But now you got to turn forward and look at the train that's coming down the tracks at you in Ohio State. Texas is going to be underdogs in this matchup, Maddie.
Right.
What is the recipe for them and Coach Sark to making this a game against a hot Ohio State team?
Well, just to kind of go back for one thing that you mentioned there too, special teams was huge because there they are late in the third quarter. They had 24 points on the board. One of those was a return for a touchdown.
That's right.
And that to me is a big concern, right, for Texas. I know Quinn Ewers had good stats to end the football game, but there is no doubt that every time that he drops back to pass, there is a little concern of he's a little lackadaisical with the football at times. And there was multiple times I thought in this football game where they took shots down the field where Arizona State has them covered extremely well, and he really got away with one being a pass interference call where he threw the ball and missed the target by about 15 yards, but he got the penalty, it bailed him out. He threw the interception on one. Should have had another interception where Simmons almost intercepted it on a deep pass. So there's concerns there. The other thing, too, to big picture-wise, Ohio State secondary. I mean, not afraid to play physical and in your face and aggressive at the line of scrimmage. Arizona State was not scared of the receiving core of Texas whatsoever. That's a huge concern for me. They were very aggressive. Only when they blitzed unnecessarily did Texas make them pay.
Yep.
That blitz there that they showed there on the 4th and 13, that was a terrible play call by the Arizona State defensive coach. That was awful. He should have never made that decision. You were playing great defense, play soft, make Quinn Ewers throw a dynamic throw versus zone coverage and really fit it into space. He bailed him out in that situation. Big picture, though, I'm not really sure how Texas creates a lot of explosive plays. Offensive line, too. So many pre-snap penalties. Got to clean that up against a very aggressive defensive line in Ohio State.
A couple of injuries, too, on that offensive line
That's true, too.
that they're going to have to figure out over the next week or so. Biggest question for you, Scoob, going into that matchup against Ohio State next week?
Can Texas finally get back to running the football?
Sure.
What's their game plan?
Exactly.
Right? What's their game plan?
That was my biggest thing.
Each game, it's different.
When you look at what they did against Clemson last week, right? It was one of their best rushing performances that we have seen in the last several years. They had 48 carries for 292 yards, and they were gashing Clemson over and over again.
Yeah.
All right. Then you look at what they did against Arizona State. What did Texas do running the ball? They only had 30 rushing attempts for 53 yards. Texas, your 2 running backs are some of the best running back combos in the entire country.
That's right.
How do you only split those amount of carries with those 2 guys? 30? Are you kidding me? We're going to put
Where was
everything.
Jaden Blue today?
Exactly.
Where was he?
Wisner looked like he was a little bit slower.
Looked slow.
We talked about
Hobbled
that
up
earlier.
from the Clemson game. It looked like it carried over into this game. Me and Scooby looked at each other at one point. We're just like, where's Jaden Blue? I mean, he's a home run hitting running back, and it's like he's not even on the field at times.
He looked fast last week.
Where is Gunnar
Way
Helm
faster than
throughout
everybody
the
else.
consistency of this game? Gunnar Helm is a top 50 NFL pick. He needs to be involved in the game. And that's where, I just don't know. Sark, I feel like, was kind of going through his Rolodex and all right, hey, we'll call this play. We'll call this play.
It was 50. They had 60 plays. It was 30-30.
Yeah.
30 pass, 30 run. Texas should be at least, I would say, 65-35. And I'm talking about you need to have 65 run plays and then 35 pass plays
No doubt.
if you're going to get 100 plays in a game, because that is your identity as a team. We've seen Michigan win the championship last year doing the same thing. And I spoke about it last week multiple times that the teams that are going to have success in the playoffs are the ones that do 2 things well. You play defense well. Texas checked that box for the most part for about 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
And then you can run the football.
Right.
And they can run the football really well. Towards the end of the season, we saw that become their identity, and they went away from that in the second game of the playoff when we saw that it worked really well for them against Clemson. So Texas, Run the football, man. I don't know what's going on. Run the football, man.
Hey, Texas only, by the way, they only ran 27 offensive plays going into the fourth quarter with just 16 rushing yards, 141 total yards, and a 1-for-6 performance on third down. That's who they will play, by the way, in the Cotton Bowl. So back home in Texas, they'll have at least that advantage going for them. But based on what we saw from the Ohio State fans traveling all the way out there to the Rose Bowl, I got to imagine they're going to make their way down to the Cotton Bowl.
You know they'll be out there for sure. Ohio State fans are pumped for this.
They're already there.
And right now, I mean, we just talked about at the start of the show, the team that we feel like we have the most faith in is Ohio State in this entire field. Texas, out of all the teams that are left in the playoff, is the most turnover-prone team. And at some point, they're going to give you a chance to make a play or two. Ohio State has done a good job taking care of the ball, and Ohio State has done a good job getting after the quarterback. Dylan Gabriel was sacked 8 times today, the most in his entire college career. I just feel like on both sides of the ball, Ohio State is executing at a high level.
How do you square with Ohio State playing like a completely different team? Because, look, they have looked like a fragile mess capable of losing to any team in this college football playoff.
Yeah, slipped by Nebraska earlier in the year.
So
and that was one of those games where like, what? How is this possible?
How do you make sense of that?
Cool.
I mean, is it just
that football is a tough game.
And these are kids
to play consistently. They're young men, right?
Yeah.
And even like Will Howard, he's human. He had his rough patches, but I love the mentality that he is always ready to go and get better and to fight. And that's really what it takes. Now, in this situation for Texas, my biggest concern for them, big picture, you've struggled in 3 games this year, like really struggled. 2 of them were Georgia. This last one against Arizona State. There's one common denominator in all 3 of them: physicality. This is one thing that this team right here behind me, Ohio State, they're a physical football team. They punched Oregon in the face today. The whole first half, they were dominant. I think that is the biggest issue that Texas really has to face here against Ohio State. And how do you balance the physicality and get explosive plays to create momentum?
And as we just button up this conversation, I do still want to give my flowers to Texas. That defense, that is your backbone. They have been your backbone all season long. Although it feels like a lot of the times Texas takes 1 step back, but they are so talented and so good as a team that they take 2 steps forward.
Right, for sure.
But at what point are you going to continue to do that over and over again against an Ohio State team that can sometimes take 5 steps forward on 1 play?
Yeah,
no
and you said it too. Sometimes Texas just can't get out of their own way with the penalties, some of the undisciplined play that we saw throughout the course of the season as well. But let's take a look at the updated bracket here in the 12-team playoff. Like we just talked about, Texas and Ohio State going to be playing in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Those will be some good ratings.
That'll be pretty good. And Penn State taking down Boise State on New Year's Eve. They await the winner of Notre Dame and Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Head back into the film room with our very own QB, Matt Sims. Matty, let's take a closer look at the Peach Bowl performance. Quinn Ewers, ever since Isaiah Bond went down with the injury, their go-to guy on the outside, they've been searching for an emerging wide receiver. The Houston transfer, Matthew Golden, has come up time and time again, including in today's game.
He is Mr. Reliable for this offense, and when they need that go-to completion in clutch situations, they are going to Golden consistently throughout this game. And we're going to continue to see that, right? Especially, too, with just the questions of the injury, and also, too, just the fact that they weren't able to get Gunnar Helm involved in the game plan as early as we would like them to see.
Yeah.
In this situation, really cool play design by Steve Sarkisian. So we're going to get, right, hey diddle diddle, 3 up the middle, right? So you see these 3 defenders right here. We got 2 backers and a safety essentially stacked over the middle, right? We got 2 wide techniques by the defensive tackles, and we are going to pressure right up the middle with those 3 defenders. It's only going to be a 5-man rush, but what we're going to get is this defensive end is going to drop out in the flat. This defensive end is going to drop out in the flat. These 3 defenders here, these 3 DBs, have these 2 guys, and that is their only concern. A cool design here by Sark, right? We're going to get a quick inside release, press vertical, and then post. And then we're going to get like an off-the-ball corner route. And really what we have here in this situation, this guy is man-to-man with the receiver off the ball. And then these 2 guys are essentially playing the guy that's on the ball right here. And their job is just to make sure to not let him get over the top or to win in a one-on-one situation with this pressure look. I love this concept too by Sarkisian. He does a great job of protecting, right, with 6 men at the line of scrimmage, right, and even 7-2 with the tight end.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers does a great job. You see how he is looking here, right, a little bit more aggressively over at this side of the field. This makes Simmons overplay this a little bit more, trying to look towards that sideline to break on this bench route. But what I love about it is this bench and go. It really, I got too many arrows there going. But we got this little bench and go. He has to respect this out, and as soon as he respects it, he puts his foot in the ground and then presses vertical for that touchdown. And Quinn Ewers does a great job of just being patient, sees that safety is flat-footed on the back end, and then throws a nice just touch throw over the top. And you can see he was so open, he just wanted to make sure that he gave his guy an opportunity in this situation. But you see Quinn overplays this corner. You can see again just how aggressive he is looking over here to this sideline. That makes Shamari Simmons break to that sideline a little bit more aggressively than probably he would like, knowing that he has safety help right in the middle of the field, and then quickly resets, gets that football up and down for the touchdown there.
4th and 13 are 2 numbers that are going to live in infamy in Arizona State fans' lore.
No doubt.
Because that was kind of devastating there. Later on in overtime, though, after Arizona State scored first, Texas needed to answer.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm, their tight end, who has been a go-to guy for them, relatively quiet throughout this game, connects with him here.
And this is my one issue, I think, for Texas, right, looking at this, like the game plan. Where was Gunnar Helm throughout the football game? We got to get him involved in the play calling. This guy's a top 40, top 50 pick in the NFL draft next year. We got to get this cat going earlier and sooner. And I feel like Sark, it seemed like he held a lot of plays because clearly in overtime and late in the football game,
no problem.
All of a sudden, no problem. So we got to be more aggressive, faster in the game plan when we're calling these plays. But with this concept, we're actually going to fast forward here a little bit to the back end of this football play because I just want you to show you the end zone clip of it. So we get that short motion by the tight end in. This looks like a heavy tight end run here to the strong side, right? So to this double tight end side, excuse me, we're expecting some sort of run or maybe even a weak side run with this set with 2 tight ends. Now, what I love about it is when we get this play, all right, we're faking the outside zone to the left here. So we're going to get heavy flow with the defenders crashing down to defend this. We got Gunnar Helm blocking down like he typically does in that set. We got the other tight end blocking down typically in that concept. But what Gunnar Helm's going to really do is do a patient job of just following behind this backer and then sprinting up the field as fast as he can as Quinn Ewers comes off the fake, resets, checks that there's no safety on the back end, and then just throws this one-on-one. The other good coaching point about this concept, too, is the receiver here on the boundary. His job is to occupy this safety over the middle.
That's what I was going to ask.
So he's diving in, getting involved, and then sprinting to cross face to that safety as a distraction. Does a good job getting across the field. You see that safety stuck in the middle of the field with that. And now Gunnar Helm with the running start on that weak side zone defender has a great opportunity for the throw. And that was a really good, accurate throw by Quinn Ewers as well.
Similar to the first round game against Clemson, yards were there to be had against this Texas secondary.
Right.
They were had today with Arizona State and Sam Leavitt. But finally, Andrew Makuba comes up with his 5th interception.
Yes, and here's Kenny Dillingham trying to take a play out of Sark's playbook, right? Running that fake wide receiver screen. So we're going to get a little receiver screen here, right? Or a fake receiver screen. This running receiver here is going to go up and then out, and then he is running like a post route. Typically, this concept is better versus zone, right? Or when you're playing man coverage closer to the line of scrimmage on the same level. Since both guys are playing off the ball, right, we're going to see how this receiver runs immediately to the flat? Well, now Makuba has leverage over this receiver, and he does a great job of playing up the field and patient. As he plays up the field, he gets his eyes back to the quarterback and plays the ball. The receiver in this situation, young receivers at home, press vertical, attack the outside shoulder, make him give ground more, and then break out to the sideline to give your guy an opportunity in this one. But since he went to the flat too quickly and right away, Makuba does a great job of anticipating the concept and getting the interception to win the football game.
So Texas gets the massive win in the quarterfinals. They now get to head back home to their home state, play in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. Thank you, Matty.
Thank you, sir.
Quarterfinal round got underway last night, New Year's Eve. Penn State taking on the champions out of the group of 5, Boise State of the Mountain West. Picked this up off a missed Boise State field goal. Penn State ball. Drew Allar finding Tyler Warren, who is just a matchup nightmare for just about everybody that he plays.
Best tight end in the country, Sam.
Yeah.
Tyler Ward, the do-it-all de facto for Penn State.
Penn State started this game really strong. Looked like it might have been a blowout. Allar launching it across the field, finding Amari Evans in the end zone this time.
Great throw right there. And I love the decision to come back and play some more football because this guy is improving each and every game that he plays. Their offense is only going to get better for next season.
All right, on to the third quarter now. This is where the Broncos made their comeback. Score 17-7. Maddox Madsen passes to Matt Lauders, tight end, and he is all by himself there.
What a play design. Everyone was sucked into Ashton Jeanty on the fake running back screen right there. Good job.
We got a ball game here. Cut it down to 3 points after the PAT. You know, Ashton Jeanty, no touchdowns in this game. He was held to a season low of 104. Finished 28 yards shy of Barry Sanders, but still an impressive day.
Season low 100.
He was just there, bro.
That's right. Penn State touchdown.
Woo! Yeah.
Puts this game away with under 5 to go. Nick Singleton takes it to the house. Penn State taking it all the way, and they win this game comfortably, though. 31-14, the final score. Penn State starting 2-0 in the playoff. They're going to take on the winner of the Sugar Bowl winner. Get to that in a second. Brief thoughts on this game, though, guys. Felt like a lot closer, I think, than the final score indicated. Boise State had some opportunities in this one. Jeanty largely kept in check by the Penn State front, and that was kind of the X factor of the game. If Penn State could limit Jeanty, they'd win. And that's exactly what they did, Scoop.
And I think that is the most impressive part about this game for the Penn State defense because Abdul Carter got hurt in this game. Yeah. And even without him in the game, the Penn State defense kept him in check. They have only had one 100-yard rusher this entire season. And they hold Ashton Jeanty to just over 100 yards, a guy who averages about 192.1 yards per game. So really impressive performance by them after the game. Ashton Jeanty just said they have a great D-line. It wasn't anything that they did extraordinary. They executed, they tackled, they did everything right. But when you look at what Boise State did, they didn't do everything right. A lot of costly mistakes, Sam. I'm talking about penalties. 13 penalties for 90 yards. 2 missed field goals against a team that was heavily favored against them. So the formula for an upset is to not make those mistakes,
That's right.
not hurt yourself. You let the team that's favored over you hurt themselves, and to turn the ball over the way that Boise State did, like you're seeing on the screen, to get those penalties, and then to not execute on the blocks and the plays that you're supposed to make, it's just not going to lead to success, Matt.
I think big picture, one of the biggest plays in the game is when Maddox Madsen hit the touchdown there quickly. They got to call illegal hands to the face on them. It took off that touchdown off the board. At the time, it would have made it 24-21. And in that situation, teams on the other side, you never know. I mean, you're one play away from them being too tight, being too careful with the ball. A turnover changes the outcome of the football game. That was a missed opportunity by just a lack of discipline and execution in a critical situation. Overall, I think Boise State played well. Maddox Madsen did a good job making some plays because he had to step up because of just the pressure of the Penn State defense and the focus. And you could see the game plan was really simple for Penn State. It was how many hats can we get to the football? How many bodies can put a shoulder or a helmet on Ashton Jeanty every time that he touches the football? And you could see, although Jeanty was clearly fatigued in the football game, he did a great job of continuing to just run hard, get downhill, and get those 2 or 3 yards. And that's just a credit to him and his toughness. And I really think also we saw a running back that was just a little worn out from a long season of essentially carrying the team single-handedly. And that's where, for him, you know, this is where one-trick pony type of offense, they never really had to develop the passing game as tremendously as maybe some other teams because they relied on him so heavily. And I think ultimately it kind of bit them in this situation. But Dirk Cutter did a great job of preparing Madsen, getting him ready to go in this football game, giving him some opportunities. But overall, just not enough Johnnies and Joes to balance against Penn State's defense.
I will say Boise State could have been a little bit more aggressive in their play calling. Specifically, I'm talking about the opening drive of the game where they attempted that 45-yard field goal instead of going for it on a 4th and 2, and it ended up resulting in a shanked field goal. I mean, it was a hard miss. They missed a couple of field goals in this game that was completely costly. And we're talking about a team in Boise State that is great at going for it on fourth down. They're 15 for 21 on fourth down attempts this entire season. So when you're the underdog in this game, I expect you to go for it and be aggressive in those situations. But Sam, something we talked about last week, specifically with Penn State and their offense, is just how efficient they are on that side of the ball. Drew Allar, great that he's coming back, but still, I'm not overly impressed by his performance, but he made some throws when it mattered. And I think when you look at this, the biggest thing that they're probably going to be happy about is they found somebody else besides Tyler Warren or Mari Evans who can make a big play, that 38-yard touchdown. So they've been trying to find somebody else besides Tyler Warren to make some plays. 13 for 25, 171, 3 touchdowns for Drew Allar is pretty good. Didn't turn the ball over. That's something that he does really well. But overall, I'm still going to need to see a little bit more from him.
Yeah, and they rely on their running backs, obviously, right?
That's really the identity of their football team.
Yeah.
It's just they can't be patient enough in the run game. On their play sheet, it should be patience, run. Because that's the strength of their team. Let their offensive line, who is big and physical, lean on the opposing defensive lines, run it with your 2 big, strong backs, be patient that way, develop the play-action passing game off of that. Drew Allar, I know it's not like special stats, but in crucial situations, like even this one right here, using his legs tremendously well to bail them out of really tough situations. He's making good decisions, and he does have the ability to make the wow throw for them. Like we saw to Evans, like we saw to Tyler Warren there in the end zone for the 2 touchdowns in the red zone. So that's the key for this team.
And that is so true, Matt, because their identity, like we just talked about, is running the ball. Texas didn't necessarily buy into their identity, and there was a portion in this game where they threw the ball multiple times when they just could have killed the clock out. Instead, they should have just ran the ball multiple times. Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, that's some of the best running back combinations in the entire country, maybe behind Ohio State. Both of those guys had great games. I mean, Allen, 17 carries, 134 yards. Singleton, 12 carries, 87 yards. Those 2 guys ended up closing out the game for Penn State. So for Penn State, what I would say is rip a page out of what Michigan did last year. How they got to the championship by running the football with their 2 backs, letting their quarterback just make those throws every once in a while on third down. Drew Allar had one of those throws on third down where it was a got to have it down. And last year, Michigan was one of the best third down teams in the entire country. So, Allar, just make those throws when you have to, stay ahead of schedule, and you should be fine.
Penn State will take on the winner of the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans. That game will not be played tonight, as we had some disturbing news overnight. New Year's is always a time for optimism and looking forward at the new year. Unfortunately, the folks in New Orleans were doing nothing but last night, filled with tragedy, sadness after a driver of a truck senselessly plowed through a crowd of people on Bourbon Street early in the morning, killing at least 15 people, injuring dozens more. All of us here on our show send thoughts and prayers to those in the Crescent City and those families that are mourning today. And as a result of the attack, the Sugar Bowl has been postponed to 4 Eastern time tomorrow on ESPN between Notre Dame and Georgia. Obviously, just unspeakable, terrible things.
Yeah, it is so sad that it happened, especially on a night where it's supposed to be celebrating.
No doubt.
Where everyone is with their loved ones. And I just want to send some love out to everyone out there that has lost some people in that you have people who are currently fighting. And right now, you know, as I send out love to y'all, I'm just expressing gratitude just to be here with y'all.
Yeah.
Because I love you guys as well. And prayers up. It's terrible. And I think they made the right decision, because right now, football is not something that we should be focusing on. And let's just take a step back and appreciate the ones that we have.
No question about it.
Well said, Skubie.
Yeah. Matty, very rare that football games at any level get postponed or delayed. But obviously, Georgia and Notre Dame are going to have to find a way to put their minds on football in this situation, which is just impossible. But put us in the shoes of the coaching staffs, the players of those 2 teams as they prepare to play this quarterfinal game tomorrow?
Well, you're trying to reassure your football team, right, and everyone according, right, to the franchise and the organization that, you know, we are safe, we are taking care of ourselves and everyone around us, and obviously to reach out to loved ones and make sure that they're okay as well, because you can only play and feel as confident as possible knowing that your family, who was probably around that area and trying to enjoy the celebration with you, is safe and okay. So that's number one. The second part, right, for I think a head coach is just to try their best to keep them somewhat insulated in a sense and not get caught up in what is going on in the outside world. And that is extremely difficult in today's day and age with social media, but that is the goal, I think, for the coach, is just try to minimize, right, all of the other chatter that is going on and to not get caught up in it or not get worried about it. The other thing is for the coaches to just do their best job to just remind their players, all right, we know that you were going through your game day routine. We're going to try to repeat that same process again as much as possible just to keep the simple things, right, true to these players, right? And that's, I think, the case for all of us, is that when we try to make sure that we're not overextending ourselves, right, or caught up in certain things, that we perform better. And that's a tough thing because these are human beings. Like Skubie said, we have feelings, we have thoughts, we have these emotions. We care for our fellow Americans. And for these coaches, they really do have a tough task to make sure that, one, these players feel confident in themselves and they're comfortable, and two, that they can refocus in a very difficult environment at the moment, because clearly in moments like this we're reminded that football is secondary.
No doubt. Really well said by both of you, too. And it's hard to focus on football and watching all of these great games today and to not think about all the folks.
And it's still in the back of our minds.
No doubt. It is. And also a shout-out. Great job by Laura Rutledge today, who was doing excellent coverage down there at the Superdome. Pete Thamel, of course, has been reporting on all of this, as well as the folks at ABC News as well. That's going to do it for us on New Year's Day. 3 of the 4 quarterfinal games have gone final, with 1 remaining at the Sugar Bowl tomorrow at 4 Eastern Time on ESPN. Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I am Sam Ravech. As you get some closing looks, nightfall there at the Rose Bowl, granddaddy of them all. 20-point win for Ohio State as the sun sets on New Year's Day in 2025.